Good evening. Welcome to the Buncombe County Schools virtual town hall. This evening we have the opportunity to come to you live from our central services on Bingham Road in Asheville, North Carolina, for the opportunity to spend some time in conversation. This is actually our 7th town hall. We previously had an in-person town hall in each of our 6 districts across Buncombe County. My name is Rob Jackson. I'm honored and blessed to serve as the superintendent for the Buncombe County Schools system. I can tell you that when I first arrived in November and had this incredible opportunity to serve here, the first thing I did was to visit each of our 45 schools. 45 times I pulled out of the parking lot absolutely blown away, feeling great pride and appreciation for what I had encountered inside each of those 45 schools. You see, in our classrooms, I encountered incredible academic rigor. I walked into buildings where you could feel love and care, warmth, where students felt safe and secure, where teachers were happy, and all were doing everything they could for student success. Certainly, we have things to work on, and we want to continue to do that. We are on a continual journey to continuous improvement. We're looking forward to being better tomorrow than we are today, and better today than we were yesterday. Part of that improvement is reaching out to the community. So in addition to visiting all of our schools when I first arrived, I've also been engaging in full-day meetings in each of our, full-day visits in each of our 45 schools. So far, I've spent 26 days in 26 different schools and looking forward to 19 more. I've also had the opportunity to address each of the municipality town councils across Buncombe County and then our town halls. In all of those meetings, I have asked 3 questions. Tonight, I want to ask those same 3 questions of each of you. Those 3 questions will not only guide my work here in the early stages of my tenure serving each of you as the superintendent for the Buncombe County School System, but will also guide our work as we revise our Buncombe County Schools strategic plan that guides the work of all of our schools, all of our almost 5,000 employees who serve almost 23,000 students in the Buncombe County School System. It is indeed a blessing to be here with you, and I appreciate your time. We look forward to spending some time sharing with you. I'd like to share with you a little bit as we start about my journey in Buncombe County. You see, I grew up right here in Buncombe County. I was blessed to attend school at Swannanoa School. At that time, a 1st through 8th grade school. Parts of the building still remain. It's part of what is now Community High School. But there, each morning I would arrive. I would get off the bus and I was greeted by my principal, Mr. Williams. He seemed, as I recall, to have really big hands. And his hands would always find my shoulder as he patted me on the shoulder each morning and encouraged me to have a good day, to make good choices, to try my best, and to give all that I had to the teachers inside. As I walked into those buildings, into Swannanoa School, I did encounter amazing teachers who loved me so much that they pushed me beyond what I might have thought I was capable of. Because of them, I've just been blessed throughout my life. And so as I share with you that I feel it's a blessing to serve as a superintendent of Buncombe County Schools, it's because of the experience I had as a student. Later, after serving very briefly in the United States Navy, I had the opportunity to return home, to begin to work in Buncombe County Schools while I was going to school to become a teacher, like the teachers I had encountered in this school system. I worked at Charles C. Bell Elementary School as a student data manager, student information data manager, as a summer custodian and as a bus driver. Later, I'd have the opportunity to serve as a 4th grade teacher at Glen Arden Elementary School and as an administrator at Sand Hill Venable Elementary School. Today, I return, having served as superintendent for 9 years. Across those 9 years, I have just been blown away by the amazing things that public educators do every single day. Those same things I've encountered here in Buncombe County Schools. I mentioned as a student, as an employee, but also as a parent. It's a great blessing as a parent to see my now adult children being so very successful in life, knowing that the path they're on was paved by the incredible teachers and staff members in this school system. And so in this moment, I do feel a feeling of being blessed, a feeling of indebtedness to this school system. And so in this moment, I'm committing to each of our 23,000 approximate students, to each of our almost 5,000 full-time and part-time employees, to each of our families, to our community, and to all within Buncombe County, to do my very best to pay forward all that I've received as a student, as a parent, as an employee while serving in this school system. We have been very blessed by this school system, and I look forward to continuing our adventure together, to sharing with you the incredible stories of our students' success. As I've borne witness since I arrived in November, our students are absolutely successful academically, incredibly successful artistically, and amazingly successful athletically. I've seen them pour themselves into the things that they're pursuing and being very successful in that. And so as we begin this journey, I'd like to share with you, as I've shared with each of our school staffs across the district, the superintendent's expectations. Now, read one way, perhaps we might read that and say the superintendent's expectations, that must be what the superintendent expects from all of his teammates, expects from all the employees of the school system. And certainly, that's one way to look at it, and it is what I expect from all of my teammates. But this evening, I'd like for you to look at it as, what might I expect from the superintendent? What is it that the superintendent is committing to as he has the opportunity to serve all of us on behalf of our Board of Education? The first thing, most important, no surprise, I'm sure, is that all we do is focused on our students. When principals and teachers, community members, parents advocate for new resources or new programs, the first question will always be, how does this improve student outcomes for our students? How does this help our children achieve their goals? How does this help us achieve our goals of each and every child in our school system obtaining the moment where they hear their name called and they walk across a stage? At the end of the stage, they encounter their high school principal who reaches out to shake their hand and hand to them the high school diploma that they earned. They're not given away, they're earned. The moment then arrives when they take that first step. We know that if we've done our job, kindergarten through 12th grade, they arrive at that moment. But as they take that first step, they're absolutely prepared for what comes next. Perhaps it is that they have enrolled in a 2-year or 4-year college or university. Perhaps they've enrolled in a trade school or an apprenticeship. Perhaps the pathway they take is a pathway into enlistment. Perhaps they've enlisted into military service, ready to serve each and every one of us. Perhaps they're walking a pathway and they're employed, able to earn a living wage to take care of themselves and any family who comes along. All pathways to success, all supported along those pathways by the incredible folks who serve right here in our school system. All that we do is focused on our students. And I do want to pause for a second to share with you that that's not brand new in Buncombe County Schools. You see, that's in our DNA. It's who we are and who we've been for generations. My predecessors as teachers and staff members, whether custodians or superintendents, all who've served in this school system have given their all to bring us to where we are, to being such an incredibly successful school system. Our commitment is to continue forward, and the way we do that is to do just as they did, which is focusing on our students, on the children we're so blessed to serve. As we move forward, we'll also continue to do all that we do with a caring attitude. I mentioned as I walked into our schools, the feeling you get. I'm sure as you've walked into our schools, whether that's to drop off or pick up your child, perhaps we hope to volunteer in the schools. We're certainly very delighted to have volunteers in our schools. For a bit, we couldn't do that as we were maintaining our buildings during the pandemics, but now we're welcoming back our volunteers, and we're so glad to have them. But when you walk into a school building, you can tell as soon as you take those first steps into the building what the building feels like. And what you find in our Buncombe County schools is a feeling of warmth, a feeling where you can tell children are cared about. As I've spent my days visiting in our schools, and I've been a part of instructional activities, whether that's sitting on the carpet with some of our primary and elementary school students as teachers were working through phonics lessons or math lessons, or sitting in a student desk in one of our intermediate, middle, or high schools, talking with our students, as I've had the opportunity to observe teachers and listen to their interactions with our students, what I've observed is a great respect for each one of our students. And I would go so far as to say a great love for each of our students. Educators choose this work because they want to make a difference, and it shows. And hopefully everything you've encountered and will always encounter in our school system is a caring attitude where you know that we value every single person we come in contact with. You'll also find a spirit of collaboration and cooperation throughout our school system. You see, I love when I walk into buildings and I have the opportunity to sit down with teachers in what we call PLCs. PLCs stand for Professional Learning Communities. Our PLCs, our professional learning communities, are where our teachers come together and they share their work with their students. And they talk about, I've been working with little Johnny, and little Johnny is struggling with this particular standard. I'm not quite sure how to help little Johnny with this. And the other teachers began to work together to talk about what's worked in their experience. When they work together that way, we bring our very best out. In Buncombe County Schools, we're a school system and not a system of schools. And what that means is that our schools, all 45 of them, work closely together so that when we find something that's working really well at Lester Elementary School, we make sure that that's been shared with Black Mountain Elementary School or North Buncombe Elementary School or Glen Arden Elementary School or Oakley Elementary School. Across our school system, we share best practices because we know that together we can do so much more. I'd like to pause for just a second and share with you that you have the opportunity this evening, if you'd like to go ahead and in the comments, put any questions that you may have as we get to the end of our time together. I plan to try my best to answer as many of those questions as I can. So if you have a question, a comment, a compliment, or a concern that you'd like to share, please feel free to list that right there in the comments, and we'll work our way through those at the end of our time together. But moving forward, we talked about that we are child-focused, that we do all that we do with a caring attitude, and that we work in a cooperative manner. We also move forward with a can-do spirit. All that we do starts with, why can't we do that if it's right for children? Now, I'll share with you that we're never going to do anything that's illegal, immoral, or unethical. But we will advocate for a change in statute if that's what's right for children. We will make sure that we've changed a policy or a procedure if that's what's right for children. We approach things with a can-do attitude. In fact, in my first principals meeting in November of this past year as I arrived, I challenged our principals and our district leaders with always seeking the hard yes instead of the easy no. Sometimes when we're asked something, it's easy to say, well, we just can't do that. But the challenge I gave each of them, and they readily accepted, was to not go with that easy no, but to instead look for the way to be able to say yes if it's right for our kids or if it helps our teachers and faculty do the job they do every single day. Because certainly we want to make sure we're doing all that we can for our students and for our schools. The last piece is a commitment to excellence. My dad would say, son, whatever you do, do it to the very best of your ability. Autograph your work with excellence, he would say. In fact, it goes to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. quote where he said, and I'm paraphrasing, basically he said, if you're born to be a street sweeper, sweep the streets as if you were sweeping the streets for God Almighty himself. Whatever it is that you're doing, do to the very best of your abilities. In our school system, that's exactly what our teachers and staff members, our administrators do every single day, because we recognize our children are worthy of our very best efforts, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure we are helping them be successful. as I shared, it has been an incredible blessing to be able to come back home, to be among family and friends, to actually now work with students who I taught, who are now teaching and administrators here in the school system, to work with administrators and educators who I went to school with, to be right back here recognizing how incredibly special it is to be a part of this school system. A part of our school system is the leadership that we are so blessed with. In our school system, we are led by a Board of Education. Our Board of Education is elected. We have 7 board members. 6 of them represent one of our 6 districts, and 1 is an at-large member. All 7, though, serve the entirety of our Buncombe County school system. And so at this time, we have a couple of our board members who were able to join us here for our virtual town hall meeting. And so I'd like to invite them to come forward to share any remarks that they would like to share. Our first board member who will have the opportunity to speak to us in just a few moments is our chairperson. Madam Chair herself, a former educator right here in our school system, has absolutely done a wonderful job, and we appreciate her leadership. Madam Chair.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Welcome this evening. I'm Ann Franklin. I represent the North Buncombe School District, and I come to you with lots of humble feelings tonight, and thankful that you're joining us to find out what happens in Buncombe County schools.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also, we have with us Ms. Judy Lewis. Ms. Lewis represents our Inca district and again serves the entire school system. Welcome, Ms. Lewis.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For any of you students, parents, and community members that I haven't met before, my name is Judy Lewis, and as Dr. Jackson just stated, I represent the Inca district, but we share the responsibility and the rewarding opportunities to work with all the districts. I'm a retired educator from Buncombe County Schools. I served as a teacher for many years in the classroom, and then as a high school administrator, and then the last part of my career, I worked with beginning teachers and new principals in recruitment in our human resources department. So I have a vested interest in everything that goes on here in our system, and I'm very proud and pleased to be able, and blessed, I'd say, to be a part of this team of board members who care very much about you students and about parents who send them our way, whether virtually or in the classroom. So thank you for being aboard, and if we could be of any help in any way, please reach out to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. I appreciate it. We certainly appreciate our Board of Education, our administrators, our teachers, and staff members for the work that they do every single day. This evening, I mentioned to you early on that I wanted to ask you 3 questions to give you the opportunity to take your turn to help inform not only the work that I'm doing as your superintendent, but again, to inform the work of our district strategic plan. And so at this time, I'd like to share with you a link. We're going to drop this link into the comments, which will give you an opportunity just to click on it if you'd like to do it that way, or in your browser if you'd like to open a new tab so you don't lose this tab, and type in the link https://bit.ly/ all capital letters, because it is case sensitive, BCS Town Hall. Again, that's https://bit.ly/ all capital letters BCS Town Hall. You may also use the QR code that you see on your screen. On the QR code, if you take your phone, your smartphone out and aim the camera at it, you don't have to take a picture of it, but when you aim the camera at it on your smartphone, the link will pop up and you just touch your phone screen and it'll take you right to this survey and right to the 3 questions. Again, we will populate that link or place that link in the comments. And so I'll give you just another moment to go right to that link if you'd like to. Again, https://bit.ly/ all capital letters BCS Town Hall, or you're welcome to use that QR code as well. And so I'd like to start out here. The first question I have for you is, what do you love best about Buncombe County Schools? And as you begin to share with me and with our school system what you love best about Buncombe County Schools, I want to share with you that each entry that we receive, that I will be reading those, we're not asking for your name or email address, so we won't collect any of that information. We simply want to know what's on your mind and what's in your heart. Each of those entries, though, will also be read by our district data disaggregation team. We have 4 leaders who are going through all of those entries. We hope that by the time we finish through all of the visits to the schools and seeing our school staff members and all of the other opportunities to reach out to the community, we'd love to have about 3,000 entries or more if we could for this survey. But that district data disaggregation team, say that 3 times, district data disaggregation team is going through all the entries and looking for those themes. And then at our May Board of Education meeting, we'll be presenting to the board all those things that I've learned during my first 100-day listening and learning adventure. And so one of the things we want to hear from you and learn from you is, what do you love best about our school system? I will tell you, as I've asked that question in schools with staff members, with principals, in town halls, with elected leaders across Buncombe County, one of the things that I hear quite often is that what is loved best is our focus on our students. And we certainly commit to maintaining that. The second thing I hear a lot about is how much folks love our teachers and staff. We know that we are quite blessed by the high-quality teachers and staff members who choose to work in our school system. And so certainly one of our challenges is doing everything we can to continue to recruit great teachers and staff members, and more importantly, perhaps, to retain our great teachers and staff members. And so part of that, of course, is a community partnership advocating for our teachers and staff to ensure we're doing all we can to maintain and to improve their salary and benefits and their working conditions throughout the school system. And so thank you for answering that first question, what do you love best about Buncombe County Schools? I'd like to ask you a second question. What should never change in our school system? In our school system, what is it that you feel should never change? And I'll give you just a few moments to answer that question. What should never change in our school system? As you're answering that question, I'll mention to you that it struck me as I've asked this question in person several times, many times at this point, that the first question, what do you love best about Buncombe County Schools, people tend to start smiling and lean in and start typing right away. And when I ask the question, what should never change, they tend to do just the opposite. They lean back and they look quite thoughtful as they think about what should never change. And I've asked the follow-up question, is that a harder question to answer? And typically I hear, well, yes, it is. And when I ask, well, why is that a harder question than the first question, I'll usually hear, well, because if it's right for children, we should want to change. Change is somewhat inevitable. Certainly we know we wouldn't want our physicians to operate on us the way they might have 50 years ago because they've learned new things. Our educators have also learned new things and continue to improve their practice. That being said, though, perhaps there are things that should never change. And as I've asked of others in groups when I've met with them, what should never change, I tend to hear things like, well, we should never change our commitment to our students. We should never change valuing our teachers and staff. We should never change being one of the thought leaders, one of the foremost school systems in the state of North Carolina in terms of where we are in serving our students, and we very much appreciate that. Let me ask you one last third question, and it's this. What should the new superintendent be working on first? For some, this may be the question you were waiting on. What in the world should the new superintendent be working on first? This is your opportunity to help me write my to-do list. As you think about our school system, as you think about our 45 schools, as you think about our service to students and families in the community, what should I be working on first? Thank you for taking a few moments to answer those 3 questions, and I'll let you continue to answer that third question. Once you've answered that third question, if you'll just hit submit on that, again, we're not getting your name or email address or anything like that, but we will have your answers and be using that to guide our work. I appreciate you sharing with us, though, and taking the time to do that. It's so very important that we are as representatives of the community, as servants of the community, that we are responsive to our community. And those three questions are one of the ways that we're able to do that, so that we know from you as we develop our district strategic plan, what do we love best about our school system as a community, as parents, as teachers and staff? What should never change in our school system as a community, as parents, as teachers and staff? And what should we be working on first as a community, as parents and teachers and staff members? And so thank you very much for doing that. That link to those three questions we're also going to share across our social media platforms. So if you have friends or neighbors who may not have been able to participate live in our virtual town hall, that will continue to be an active link, and so you might encourage them to click on that link or use that QR code so that they are able to respond to those questions as well. And so I mentioned to you, I wanted to give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have, and we'd certainly invite you to do that through the comments on either of the two platforms we're streaming on. If you want to just ask a question, if you have questions, comments, concerns, or compliments that you would like to share, please take just a moment to list those in the chat. We actually have a couple of folks who are monitoring those chats. Our Director of Communications is Dr. Stacia Harris, and she's going to ask those questions of me, just as if you were right here live with me. So any questions, comments, compliments, or concerns that you have, if you'd list those in the chat, we'd be happy to try to address those as we go forward. And so let me turn to Dr. Harris and see if we have any questions to start with. Dr. Harris.
We don't have any questions just yet in the comments, but we do have a comment from Kim Plemons. So proud to have Dr. Jackson as our superintendent. I'm sorry I'm not there tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Kim Plemons is actually on the Board of Education. She serves and represents the Irwin District, as all our board members do. She serves the entire county. And so we very much appreciate Ms. Plemons and all of our board members. So thank you very much, Ms. Plemons. So we'll give you just a few more moments if you have any questions, and if not, that's fine too, but we want to give you that opportunity for any questions, comments, compliments, or concerns that you might want to share this evening in our virtual community town hall. Dr. Harris?
We are still waiting on some questions.
Okay. Dr. Harris, thank you very much. We appreciate that. We've been going for about a half hour. I don't want to belabor our time together. We'll give it just another moment or so, and if we do have questions, comments, compliments, or concerns, we'll be happy to answer any of those that you have to share with us. If not, we'd like to invite you to reach out if you do have questions or concerns, compliments, or comments that you'd like to share, to reach out to the schools and to the school system. Certainly the best point of contact for parents is your child's school. We ask that you talk to your child's teacher if there's something that you have a question about, perhaps in the classroom, or the school's principal. If there's something that we can work on to help you with, we certainly want to do that. You're also welcome to and invited to reach out to our school system. If you simply reach out to the school system, we'll do our best to get you plugged in to the person who may have the answer that you may be seeking. And so one last time, let me reach out to Dr. Harris. All right. Well, hopefully that means that we did a pretty good job answering the questions that you might have had in our live town hall meetings. And certainly if you have some in the future, we'd very much invite you to share those with us. I look forward to serving as your superintendent. One of the things that I recognize is that being able to serve as superintendent really for me is built on relationships. Relationships take two things. One is time, and the second is communication. The time piece is exactly why I'm spending a day in each of our schools getting to know the unique needs, the strengths, and challenges of each of our schools, and we very much appreciate that. I hope that a takeaway you have for me as superintendent is that I love this school system. In this moment, I recognize I'm simply talking. I have a good friend. Her name is Tanya Turner. Ms. Turner would say, Dr. Turner would say often, your talk talks, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. But she would go on to say, your talk talks, but your walk talks. Your walk talks louder than your talk talks. And so I do recognize that right now I'm talking. I look forward to 6 months from now a year from now, 6 years from now, you sharing with me that indeed my walk did talk. And the talk that my walk talked was that exactly what I'm sharing this evening. The commitment to this school system, the love for this school system was seen in every action that I took as your superintendent. I very much appreciate you. When parents bring their children to our school system, we see that as a sacred trust. We know you're trusting us to keep your children safe and secure and to help them be prepared for successful futures. We don't take that trust lightly. In fact, we hold it deep in our heart, and we commit to giving all that we can to you, to your children, to our families, and to our community. We'd love to be in connection with you. If you'd like to connect with us, we would love that opportunity, as together we tell the incredible stories of all that's happening in our Buncombe County school system. Thank you for spending time with us this evening, and thank you for the honor of serving your family and our community. Have a great night.